All right, so today we started talking about World War II and particularly the concept of appeasement. So, hindsight being 2020, of course, everyone would have said, "Oh, Hitler should have been stopped." But why didn't the people at the time stop him? This activity is to give us a little bit of historical perspective. I mentioned earlier in class, but you can also find here again in the comments a link to the worksheet that you need and this PowerPoint. Both are on the school loop page for world history under the Unit 6 locker. So, um, the context of when this decision about appeasing Hitler was made, 1938 is the time. By this time, Hitler has made Germany strong again, economically speaking, by violating a number of parts of the Treaty of Versailles, a treaty which a lot of people felt was a little unfair to begin with. One thing that he did in 1936 was to reoccupy the Rhineland, which is a demilitarized zone between Germany and France. He also formed an alliance with Austria, which essentially subsumed Austria into Germany, making them one kind of Reich, as Hitler would say. And then in 1938, Hitler demanded the Sudetenland. The Sudetenland is this area that's on the border of Czechoslovakia, where it borders Germany and Austria. And the question here then is, should the British agree to let Germany have the Sudetenland? Not that it was only the British decision, but the British had an army that could have stood up to the Germans. The Czechs by themselves did not have an army that could have withstood an attack by the Germans if they went it alone. So the Czechs were asking for help, and the British were like, should we help or should we not? And a little bit more context. It's from the perspective of the British. They hadn't been building their army as quickly as Germany. They didn't feel like they were ready for a war with Germany. A lot of them didn't. Some did. Winston Churchill would be one. Austria and Germany had strong cultural ties. Essentially, it's the same people ethnically and culturally and linguistically that lived in both places. So maybe we should just overlook this Anschluss violation of the Treaty of Versailles. Part of the Sudetenland used to be part of Germany, and a lot of people were more worried about the communists. They thought the fascists, a strong fascist country in Germany, could be like a dam against the tide of communism that was coming from Eastern Europe, the USSR specifically. People were also, though, worried about the end of democracy in Germany and Italy. So here's what you need to do. You take a look at your worksheet, and up and down the left side and right side, there's 16 different arguments. Cross off the 7 that are the weakest or least convincing, and then take the remaining 9 and rank them with numbers 1 through 9, 1 being the best. Rewrite those arguments in your own words in the boxes, as you can see, just like the worksheet shows here. So 1 at the top, 9 at the bottom, with 3 tiers in between, 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8. There's the instructions again. And then after that, take a couple of different colors, maybe a hot color for confront and a cool color for appease, or whatever you choose, and color code the arguments that you've written in. This is what you're supposed to do after you've written the arguments. So I've shown you this screen here. Hopefully you've stopped it and looked at the arguments already and all of that. Most of you did in class today anyways. So here's the breakdown of which are appeasement arguments, which are confront arguments, and so you'll be able to color code your arguments that you wrote in the middle. So if you wrote an appeasement argument in the middle, say for example, where was it? If you wrote an appeasement argument in the middle for number 2 and number 5 and number 8, then you would outline those or color those in with your appeasement color and your confront color for the others that are confront arguments. After that, you're going to give yourself a score. And whether it's appease or confront, you have 2 scores, 1 for appease, one for confront. So let's say, for example, you had an appeasement argument here, an appeasement argument here, and appeasement arguments here and here. So your appeasement score would be 9 plus 7, which is 16, plus 5 plus 5, which is 26. And your confront score would be all the rest of them, right? So it would be 7 plus 5, which is 12, plus 3, which is 15, plus 3, which is 18, plus 1, which is 19. So 26 to 19, you would have been more likely by a little bit to have appeased Hitler and let him take in the Sudetenland. Or if that math worked out a little bit differently, maybe you would have confronted Hitler. So answer the question, were you an appeaser or not? And on the back of the page, what I would like you to do is write down your response to the survey. Right? Do you think it was accurate? Do you think it was inaccurate? Do you Do you agree with the way it came out? Can you recognize why it was a hard decision to make, whether or not to confront Hitler at that time? That should be on the back of this page. If you have any questions, bring them to class. Thank you.